gentlemen, welcome to Miami. We are so glad to have you here. We hope you enjoy your stay here at our exotic Miami, and be sure to check out all of our quaint local things. Like over in South Beach, you'll find lots of things you might find there interesting. And there's always our wonderful beaches. And of course, the Everglades, where you want to be eaten by an alligator, although nowadays it's more likely an iguana. Anyway. Yes. Yeah, when I moved to Orlando, I would come down for visits, stuff like that, visit my family. And then about 8 years ago, I noticed that I was like, Mom, when did the iguanas take over, like, South Florida? She was like, well, remember all your friends used to have iguanas and let them go? It's like, yeah, well, it's not my fault. We never had one. We had the cats, so. Yeah, all of our South Florida locals. So my friends, thank you for joining us here this weekend. Hope you're having a good time and all that fun stuff.
So far, so good. Thanks for having us.
No,
doing all right.
Yeah, absolutely, it's great. So we had this conversation a couple years ago and stuff like that. But what I would love to do is go a little bit into the origin stories. How did you all get involved in this? Because I know how the English language guys have gotten into it through this thing, but this is a very, very different story with regards to licensing and the production and everything else. And it's done locally here, right?
Correct.
So go us a little bit into the company first, and then how it got into this, and then how the roles came about.
Well, I guess they're pointing at me, so I'll take a crack at it. So normally the way it works, as far as our studios, we do a lot of demos. Like a lot of companies come and pitch us stuff. They're like, hey, listen, we got this program. Can you dub like 10 minutes of it or give us a snippet? And if we like it, we'll give you the gig, and we'll take it from there. And in this industry, usually we keep maybe like 5% of the things that we audition for or do demos for. Just like an actor, there's a lot of no's, and then there's that one yes. So we've done a bunch of stuff, and then this particular anime comes in, and they're like, hey, listen, we got this anime. They're asking for like 10 minutes of this episode if you can dub it, and if they like it, they'll give, you guys will get the gig. So I'm like, oh man, anime. I've always wanted to work on an anime. Cool. At the time, I really didn't know anything about any of the new gen animes, so we began working on it as we would normally do with any project. Cast the characters accordingly, do the best that we can, and turn it in. And when we turned it in, it was like, well, that was fun. That was a cool experience. In our mind, thinking we're not gonna get it, but at least we had a good time.
Well, that's the only way you keep your sanity.
You
just let it. You've done it, and you let it go.
Just let it go. So that was cool. And then about like a month and a half later, I remember the studio rep comes in. He was like, hey, so you remember that demo you guys did? So yeah, the client liked it. We got the material. We start like next week. So we're like, whoa, what? Oh, okay.
Now, when you say studio, who was it? Was it the actual
At the time, it was Funimation.
So it was Funimation.
It was Funimation at the time, yeah.
All right.
So
I wasn't sure if it was directly represented from Japan
no.
there was an intermediary.
No, it was an intermediary. It was Funimation at the time, and they liked what we did, and they were like, okay, yeah, the demo's fine. Keep everybody how it was in the cast, and just cast the other characters accordingly, and basically here are the keys to the Lamborghini. Don't mess it up. Don't scratch it, and let's go from here. And what's funny is that I always use this anecdote because, like, when I auditioned for Bakugou, I did it, like, indirectly. I didn't know. Because when we were casting the characters, there was that one guy in that episode, that blonde bully. That's what I thought it was. And he was screaming, and I was like, okay, well, a lot of actors don't like to scream, because, they do commercial work, and they don't want to harm their voice, and I totally get that. So it's like, I'll do it. It's only like 11 lines. It's fun. I like playing explosive characters. I didn't know. I thought it was just, he wasn't in any superhero suit, and the main focus was Deku and All Might. So I was like, oh, this guy's probably like the bully that comes in once in a while. I'll do this guy, and we'll turn in this because we got to turn it in. So then when we get the gig and we're like looking, okay, now we got to do the cast, and I start researching, and I'm like, oh, this guy's pretty big deal. Like, okay, and then it kind of dawned on me, and so that's kind of like how I ended up casted for Bakugou. And basically, the other Orlando was in the demo for All Might, and of course he came out great as a veteran Titan. So that pretty much is how we ended up with the gig, and pretty much from there, it's the rest is history. Here we are.
So for each of you guys, what do you remember from when you came on in? Was it specific characters, or was it just try this, and this, and this, and a little bit of this, and then kind of sift it through?
Well, in my case, Romulo told me that was a perfect voice in Spanish for the character because he's just like I speak. I do my characters. My work is, more like in Spanish. That's why, I try, and it was sharp because I did it, and I was the voice exactly the one that they wanted.
Yeah, because he's normally he's the voice of Superman in Latin America, and as we know, All Might is kind of like a caricature of like American superheroes. Oh, always exaggerated up here. So I was like, hey, Orlando, let me hear that Superman voice you got. And I was like, yo, let's try to go with something like that. And he did it, and they loved it.
I did Superman in 1995, so it was a long, long time ago. And
For the
animated
Superman
series. Animated series, yes, in Spanish.
So you're the George Newbern.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, it was crazy because we're friends since even before then. And he was telling me, like, oh, we have this thing, but, I don't know if it's going to get here. Like, I don't know. I'm like, okay. And at the time, I used to be an event photographer. So I was driving to Tampa, which is a 4-hour drive. And then I was on the way. I remember it was like mid-December. And he goes, we got it. I'm like, we got what? He goes, and then he tells me my hero. And I'm like, oh, my God. I was driving. I was like, yes. I almost ripped the steering wheel out of the car. And I'm like, yes. And then I'm like, which character? And then he goes, I got you for one character. I'm like, which is it? Kirishima? Is it this? Is it that? So like I made a whole list, and he goes, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm like, oh, come on, dude. And then when he told me, okay, I need you to look at this episode, and this episode, and they were all Todoroki centered, and I'm like, oh. I was a big fan of My Hero even before doing it. Big fan of both the Japanese and the English, most of the English. But so I started really studying the character, who it was, why it was, every little aspect of it. And then the day that I was supposed to go in is when COVID lockdowns happened. So the first day, like I'm like pumped. I'm like, okay, we're gonna, do this. And he goes, oh my bad, like studio's closed. And I'm like, no, what do you mean? And he goes, either you can kind of sign a waiver saying that you're okay with coming in, at your own risk. It's kind of like your deal, or we can try to record at home. I had my setup at home, but I'm like, I prefer to have the director like right in front of you, so he can, we can crack jokes and we can whatever. And so I went in, and most of the people, deservedly so, were very scared and very hesitant to go in. So we ended up doing like, do this character and then do like a myriad of other like B-rolls and Walla and all that. I'm like, all right. So I just started doing that, and as time went by, they were like, yeah, we hear this guy like all over the place, and it's like, yeah, we like 10 cats doing the whole thing. So after that, it started to like remove characters, and I'm like, okay, fine. But yeah, it was awesome.
Right on.
Well, for me, it was a surprise because I was a fan of My Hero as well before we got the show. And one day I'm leaving one of the studios from doing another show, and they're like, hey, don't leave because Rums wants to talk to you. I'm like, who's Rums? I'm like, oh, he's the director who's doing anime. Oh, anime. All right, okay. So I go wait, and the elevator opens up, and Rums goes, hi, I'm Rums. Hi, I'm Ernesto. And he goes, do you know a show called My Hero Academia? And inside I go like, yes! But I had to be professional. I'd be like, yeah, I do know the show. Do you know this character named Aizawa? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I'm like, well, I want you to play Aizawa. I'm like, all right. Okay, I'll do so. I'm with a talent right now. I'll come back for you, but wait for me here. So I was just there waiting like, oh my God, I have to be intimidated to all these people who have been doing it for like 20 years. What am I going to do? Because I was fairly new at this, and you usually don't get those chances. And then the elevator opens up again. He's like, all right, we're ready. And Orlando's there too, and he's like, and meet Orlando Noguera. He's gonna be All Might. I'm like, oh my God, give me a chance to breathe, because it's not just that he's playing All Might. It's like it's Orlando Noguera, and people all over Latin America want to meet him. I'm just like meeting him out of the blue, and we just get to the booth and start recording this. And what I did for Ice, how I was thinking like, okay, he's a teacher, and we have seen this trope of the tough teacher through anime, so I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna give him a little bit of Piccolo and a little bit of Kakashi while still being true to the character. Yeah. So that's the approach I took for Aizawa, and the rest is history.
Very nice. Well, Deb, like I always say, regardless of the language, this show is miraculous. Especially for me as a fan, as in the convention world, because I've always say this at the My Hero accounts, because anime fandom and Western comic book fandom are parallel lanes. We've been in the same highway with parallel lanes. This series made manga and anime fans into fans of Western superhero comics genres, and it made Western superhero fans into anime and manga fans. So thank you for being the ambassadors. Thank you for your talents. Thank you for the performances you brought to these roles.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
very
you so
welcome.
much.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Actually, I always quote you on that. Yeah, I do.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. This is the obligatory My Hero question, so let's get it out of the way. If you could pick your own quirk, what would you do?
Mine
would
is
you
boring.
have?
Mine is boring. Flying. I don't know why. I have a fear of flights, but I feel like if I could fly on my own, I'd probably overcome it and it'd probably be fun.
Yeah. Me flying. Yeah, that's the best one.
Me
Yeah.
not flying.
Well, you spoke it so well between that and Superman.
You already has the experience, so
X-ray side,
I would love like either like super speed or like Muriel's quirk of like permeation to just be able like. Last night I got my car keys locked in my car, and I was like I can either like.
Would have been
bust this-
nice to have it then. huh?
Yeah, I would have been like just whoosh, that's it. Get my car keys and then
How about eating without getting fat?
Oh damn!
Damn.
Wow.
That's pretty profound.
something,
I didn't think
that's
about
There is a DC character that
I-
does Matter Eater Lad,
that
you
is
know,
called
who just
bulimia, but sure.
he can eat anything, you know. He can bite Superman's fingers off if he wants
Fast
to. Yeah.
metabolism.
Oh yeah. It has like a very strong jaw, and he just like eats through.
Well,
everything.
like he got his saliva is like
Yeah.
supremely acidic, you know,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he's an alien that just we eat rocks because we had again silly goofy comic book stuff that if you listen to it, it sounds ridiculous, but when you read it, it's like some other verisimilitude works, you know.
Exactly.
But that's the fun of it. That's absolutely the fun of it. It's why I call it escapist fiction, because it's craziness to it. What's been for each of you? What's been the best thing to come out of this gig?
For
you?
me, yeah, because
Yeah, Ernesto, what's the best part of all of us?
Tell us. Elaborate.
best of all of this is, like you said at the beginning, connecting all these stories together and connecting to the people that connect to these stories and being those ambassadors for the cast in Spanish. Because there are people who watch it with their families and their families only would watch it dubbed, and they bond that way. And they had that. There's a dysfunctionality there that only it's mended by sharing not just this show but other shows dub. But you know this show is very special. It's very close to the heart, and it pulls at your heartstrings. So, and I got a couple of DMs like, hey, thanks to this character and this character on the show, I was able to talk to my mom or talk to my dad about this problem that I had that I wouldn't have the chance without the characters going through something like that. And that's something that there's no price to that. And every single time I get one of those DMs, I go like, yes, thank you for sharing that, because that's
What about you, Mr. Director?
It is pretty rewarding. I remember like in there's always that battle between dub versus sub, and I always use this anecdote. I always say that dub is at this point is more so like an accessibility, because for example, my mom, like, she could like anime, but she's not gonna sit there and read subtitles. First of all, it's too fast, and second, she wants to like watch it and not be like reading. You know, most anime fans, we don't mind. Like I don't mind reading subs and whatnot, but she doesn't. So when this show got dubbed, I was like, hey, want to see what I worked on? You know, so we sat down and we started watching it. And I remember noticing her like connected. We were watching, I think, season 3. We were at season 3 where All Might and All for One are fighting. And I remember looking at her, and she's like, "Oh my God, like, is All Might gonna die?" You know, and I was like, "You got it. You're invested. Like, yes, that's exactly what it's all about. Like, now you know what I go through." So, as actors, we go in there and we do our job, but we don't sometimes realize like the effects that it has like later on. And like Ernesto said, you know, I've gotten. Well, I remember I went to Mexico once, and I met a bunch of people, and they're like, "Oh my God, not even your character, like your performance." I was like, "Oh my God, for real?" And they explain these stories. And these are things I don't think about, you know. We go in there, we do our job, and then we just, you know, we have fun. But sometimes we don't realize like the effects that this has to like other people. And like lately, as the years gone by, we get more and more like messages of people telling us how not just the characters that we play, but our actual performances have helped them get through certain things. And to me, that's like the most unexpected, like a serendipitous reward. Like I wasn't expecting this, but now that it happened, I'm like, man, this is really cool. So now like I'm a little bit more keen on that when working. Because like I'm thinking, okay, I got to think about that. Maybe, I don't know, the 12-year-old or the adult with their kids, how they're gonna react to like what we're doing. So it's pretty a beautiful side effect of like the stuff that we do, and I think that's to me is pretty rewarding.
Well, for me, it's to know they're doing a job into a studio that is cold and dark, and yeah, because it's cold and dark, and and you're doing something that doing here, it's gonna be projected to the people and the people there, the other side and far away from there, gonna feel what you're feeling when you're doing your job. When you're characterizing, doing the character and acting, it's something it's very very interesting, and I admire that because the people come here with the same love that I do put to my work. It's something very gratifying. I love it.
For me, it's the money and the fame. It's just nothing like it. I'll get stacks on stacks on stacks. No, but seriously, like I love the fact that I get to be part of what essentially is like the biggest anime for many years. And before this, I was just doing like, copy and, assistant day, whatever. So to be thrown into the spotlight, and thank you once again for entrusting such a big character to each one of us. Like it's very rewarding, and it's very amazing to see people connect to it. My mom doesn't like anime. She thinks that it's of the devil and all that. But there was one time that I was like, hey, like I would love for you to see this specific episode. And it's the Hellish Todoroki family, where they go into very deep, subjects like, spousal abuse and, like interpersonal conflicts or whatever. And I saw my mom crying, and my mom never cries. And I saw my mom crying, and I'm like, the hell's wrong with you? And she goes, I would have never thought that. Like, I always thought that this was for kids, and this was just kind of like a way to keep them entertained when, adults are doing something. And I'm like, no, this is the power of it. Like, this is exactly why I love this kind of stuff, because it could go into, like, psychological, philosophical, belief systems and all that. And it has a beautiful message of, like, you might be working with not the greatest deck of cards, but hey, shuffle the cards. See what else you can do about it. You don't have to just play the hand that you're given. Maybe kick the table and have another hand. Just do something else. So I love this fact, and I also love the fact that like you see the contrast between Deku and Todoroki. How Todoroki is basically born with everything, and still his mind is not letting him pass up plays. Whereas Deku, he was born with very little to nothing, and he is able to surpass everything by being granted the greatest power of all. But it still took hard work in order to get it. Yeah, that's about it.
Absolutely. A thought occurred to me, and this may be a little production-wise, so bear with me on this way too. What version do you start with? Do you, for instance, do you guys work off of what was the Funimation English version, or do you get the direct Japanese version and translate that from the source?
Funny enough, the first videos when we were dubbing season 1, we had the English dub, but then moving forward, it was the Japanese with the English script. I'm sorry, Spanish script. But one of the things that was really surprising, it was that Funimation at the time said, the only thing we ask is that you try to find, not voice match, but try to get close to the English voice. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, that's a first. Usually most clients are like, we want get as close as possible to the original voices. But in this case, Funimation, I don't know, maybe it was branding, I'm not sure. But they were just like, yeah, try to get as close as to the original. I was like, okay, bet, that's cool. So that's, like I said, the first season we did work with the English. But then by the second and third season, everybody already kind of locked in. So we kind of kept going. But yeah, we were referencing the English dub, which was interesting.
Because also you're talking about dub versus sub, and I thought in the early days, you kind of in the earlier days of dubbing, they hadn't really quite told the actors, yeah, it's a cartoon, but don't treat it like a cartoon. Like the very first edition of Akira, and I'm friends with some of those guys, but you're alive, I don't believe it, and it's like. No, man, play it real and stuff like that way too. So at the time, the subs were considered more preferable. Now everybody's gotten the nuances and the performances, and the scripts now are a little more the way too. Now, were there any challenges in the Japanese version where there was a cultural reference you just kind of hit a wall to, so you had to supplant one that worked better in the Spanish culture?
Absolutely, that happens all the time in dubs in general. I know we're talking about My Hero, but one of the biggest examples is in South Park. There's so many
Yeah.
cultural references, and we have to like navigate through that.
Transpose.
Yeah, and some of them you just can't. There's just no way to get to translate. And as a director, I'm like, because like such a good joke, and it's just like we can't execute it because of just the language. So, for example, not to go off topic, but like the streaming wars, there's no specific Spanish word for the word streaming when you're referencing a streaming platform. So that joke was like completely gone, you know. So
Which is the center joke of the whole episode. You know?
which was exactly. So that does happen in My Hero sometimes, but it's not as heavy, and we're able to navigate and find some good alternatives. But yeah, it definitely is some obstacles that we run into.
Yeah, I guess South Park. Yeah, it's like, you know, what's the equivalent of "Don't tase me, bro"? It's, I don't know. So, me too.
I mean, and there's a lot of not only jokes but references as well, where like they kind of give us a little bit more of like, what would you say? It's like, I don't know, I would say this, and it's like that's a little too colloquial to a specific country. So because for example we have Venezuela, Colombia, U.S. and Cuba. So what I would find funny, people are gonna be like, I don't get it, you know. And since we're trying to do like very neutral that every country could understand, there's a little bit of nuance there as well. And actually, fun fact, for the Dragon Ball dub here in America, they went off of the Mexican one first, not from the Japanese, because they couldn't
That's
get those
right.
files.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember. Yeah. So
It's
it's
all-
all
it's
it's
full
all
circle.
cyclic. Yeah, absolutely. So too. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for indulging my capricious curiosity. I'm gonna go out now and
very
take some
welcome.
questions from this
Thank you.
audience.
Thank you.
Let me.
Fun times.
If you have questions, please do so in Spanish, English,
Raise
Portuguese.
your hand.
we
Raise
have-
your hand.
However you want. Whoever asks the first question will get 2 pieces of candy. I'll bribe it. So, all right, who's got? I'll just take hands. So, over here? Okay, I'll get you, and then we'll come over here. So, hi, what's your name?
My name's Diego Raful.
Yeah, what you got?
Wait, who do you like ship in My Hero Academia?
Who do they ship?
Who do you ship?
Well, since we are the actors that play these characters, we go through the canon. So anything that is not canon,
I like Silky's
we're
ship.
okay.
Like Silky's
Ship
Silky
is
Ships
nice.
is
ship
great.
is pretty nice. It's a
Silky's-
big, you know,
Silky Ship is-
gigantic.
I forgot about Silky Ship.
Bro, Silky's ship. You gotta respect the classics.
If you don't remember who Silky is, he's the seal that has a ship, the hero, the seal hero or the hero seal.
The seal.
Seal Hero.
Oh, he's the seals. I get it because of this.
Damn. There you go.
Who do you
Any other
ship?
question?
Um,
It's totally fine. You can ship. That's fine.
Seeing.
Bakugou and Deku.
Okay.
No, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Yeah, hey, we're all good here. All right, round of applause for that. That was a fun question. Thank you. Start us off with. All right.
you.
Hey, Robert. Hey, what's your name?
Leah Vasquez.
What you got for us?
What's your favorite female character?
Oh, good one.
Nightmare.
Female
Midnight,
character.
Midnight.
So it's I was gonna say between Midnight or Toga's cool too. I like Toga's story, so I would say between those two.
I really like Ryuko or
Midnight.
Bubble Girl.
Midnight's the best one.
Bubble Girl.
Bubble
okay,
Girl,
Bubble
yeah.
Girl's cool.
I like Ryuki because she can just turn into a dragon
Yeah, she's
whenever she
awesome
wants.
too.
That is the coolest.
No, like
thing
she has a
ever.
cool design.
Just like I want to be a dragon today. Just and that's it. Just fly away. You know. I think it's really
And you get 2 quirks for 1.
Yeah, because you can fly.
Dragon
and, then you
and
can
fly.
Just roar like a dragon and just be a mythological creature. And then just fly away.
Or you're in the booth and they're like, we need you to scream. Give me a second.
Mount Lady.
Hot breath.
Oh, Mount Lady.
Ah,
yeah.
that's a good one. Yeah.
For reasons I won't explain in a mixed
That's fine.
audience.
Step on me.
What's your favorite?
Ochako.
Oh.
I didn't want to be the subject because you're dressed as Froppy, but anyway, but still, it's a fun one. Oh, no.
Traitor!
No. Here, you get a green one, obviously. All right, fun question. Thank you. Who's got another? Oh, okay, over here. Hello, what's your name?
Hello, I'm Z. So I wanted to ask, thank you. What is your character for all of you? What is your favorite character defining moment where whatever your character did was like wow, this guy is awesome. I'm gonna stick with him forever. I love him. Or them.
Be voiced by me. No. For Todoroki specifically, there's two major places. It's the Deku fight, which is when he actually like becomes a better person, and when he tells his father that, Endeavor is a great hero, but as a father, you still have a lot of work to do, because it clearly made a delineation between the hero and the person, and he's willing to forgive his father for all the atrocities that he committed. Yeah.
Oh, me? Okay. For me, it's the attack in the USJ, for sure, because that's when everybody was like, "Oh, he can fight, for reals."
You can catch these hands.
And the scarf. And the other one, besides the Shirakumo scene, it's when he has a one-to-one with All Might at the end of season 5, when All Might is like, I don't know what my place in the world is, and Aizawa was like, hey, just being here alive, it's enough for a lot of people. And that I love that scene. That for me is like,
Well, for me, All Might to the responsibility to teach the others, to his students, to do the best of them, to get the best of them. I think it's All Might is the guy.
He's the guy.
like every scene of All Might is like,
I am here.
For me, oddly enough, it was Deku versus Kachan Part 2. And first of all, that was one of my favorite scenes doing, because it was very, emotive. And that was awesome. But the scene where he, breaks down and he, crashes out and he's like, oh, it's because of me. I had never done anything like that. And it was surprising that that character would have some sort of a crash out like that. Because usually he's always confident and is like, I got this. And if he's mad, he's just mad because he failed. But here he was literally going through it. And as an actor, interpreting something like that is very challenging. And it also gave me a new dimension for Bakugou. I was like, okay, this guy, oh man, is a lot deeper than what I thought he would be. I thought he was just some angry guy, but here he is, opening up and just showing his emotions. So that was a defining moment where I was like, okay, this guy's more than just a two-dimensional angry character.
And that day, I remember seeing that episode, and I remember a few of us calling him, being like, "You did amazing! You're a great actor!" He's like, "Am I?" I'm like, "Yes! Enjoy it!"
That's cool. Great question. Thank you. So, who got another one? I'll go to him, and I'll come back to you. Hey, what's your name?
Daniel.
What you got?
So, which other character would you play if you had the chance?
Spinner.
none. I'm good.
I don't know.
I do Torino as well.
He's Gran Torino, yeah.
Gran Torino as well. I like
who
it.
would you play besides
Tori-
them?
Torino talks just like this. Hola, All Might, ¿cómo estás? No puedo creerlo que eres la persona más increíble que he visto.
I'm trying to think who would I do.
I would love to play Hawks, because he's just such a playboy. Like, yeah, Endeavor, yeah. So it's like, yeah.
I can't. I'm drawing a blank.
Actually, let's do that. We are reading the manga live in quick sessions, and on my Twitch channel, Ernesto Rumbaut. So, and it's also we upload it to YouTube. So if you want to watch it later, so you don't have the time, we are reading it live with the characters.
And we read other characters.
Yeah, like so not
and
everyone can
sometimes
make it.
If depending on the chapter that we are, like we can even he assigns us like women. So whenever like he puts me as Ochako, I'm like I'm Ochako.
Like
You know,
Mineta,
I
everyone
love
does
you,
Mineta.
Deku, you know.
I guess I would say Kirishima. Now that I'm thinking about it, that would be fun.
Kirishima's
That'd be fun to voice Kirishima.
So
Cool.
I would
Fun
love
one.
to
Thank
do
you.
Bakugou just so I can do him like in the most like oh my god possible.
so there you'll hear us like switch characters and have fun with it.
Cool. Fun one. Thank you. Hey, what's your name?
Annette. What was the most challenging scene you guys had as actors for this series? Most challenging?
The Shirakumo scene. That
Armani.
The Shirakumo scene that breaks me every single time.
Why the Shirakumo scene specifically? Lay it out, brother.
If you haven't watched that episode,
don't
is
even know.
when it's revealed. It's spoiler like who another character who we thought was a villain, who he is, and Aizawa has a very personal connection to that person, and he breaks down not only because seeing that person, but seeing his best friend Present Mike break down as well. So that's why.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. Going back to that one episode where Bakugou like crashes out, and the redemption one where he asks for forgiveness for Deku, because again, most of the time I'm just going in there, all right, we're gonna scream today, but here's like, okay, we got to be a little bit more emotional here, and just swapping from those two, that's where I've never done anything like that. Either I'm just a regular dude that's being emotional, or a guy that's really angry, but here's a guy that's just all over the place. So that was pretty challenging for me to kind of like navigate, and then okay, and then again. So that was a first for me. So that was pretty fun.
So for Todoroki, for me, it's definitely actually one of the recent episodes is the fight against Dabi, because there's so much to unpack there. But as Spinner, who usually doesn't get the spotlight, it's the episode where he is having kind of like a meltdown of who I am, like very existentialist mindset of like, I want to be loved and I want to be accepted, but people hate me for no reason, and it's just So it's an amazing way to also show that even in a world where they have superpowers, there's still some prejudice. And I love the fact that he was able to just kind of like cathartically like let it all go. And I was at the booth. I remember that day that I was telling Rums, I'm like, bro, give me 2 minutes because this is like some heavy stuff. And I know this is something that I tell everybody. I know when Rums really likes a take, especially when it's a very like emotional scene. I know he really likes it because he starts playing fart sounds just to try to like diffuse the moment. So I'm like, yeah, and then at the end I just hear, and he's like, yes. He's the seal of approval. Just after like a whole scene, just.
Is it Silky's approval?
It's Silky's approval.
Well, in my case, it was one of the last episodes when he changed, unexpectedly, the suit. Yes. In the moment he thought that he was doing nothing and he was worthless, he changed the suit. It was very exciting moment when he take the strength to fight back. It was very, very, very emotional
the
moment.
laugh at the end of that episode.
Yeah.
Just a manic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Great. Fun question. Thank you. All right. Got time for one more. So we got your. Look at this young lady in the back. Hey, what's your name?
Victoria. So this is like if you like probably read the rest of the manga. Did you like the ending?
Yes.
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 I don't know why people are mad. I think it ended awesome, the way it should have.
I think it's a coherent ending. So
this is
you get to decide if it's good or bad.
Yeah, this
That's
is
up
the
to
thing
you.
with the ending. A lot of people thought that they knew the direction that it was going to go. So when the direction that it actually went, that is on the best interest for the creator, and people don't get the ending that they thought that they were going to get. So that's why they're like, oh, but it's not fair. But whatever headcanon you have, that is perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that the writer has to obey every whim that you have. So I love the ending, actually.
Yeah, the biggest argument I kept seeing is like, oh, Deku has no powers. I'm like, that's the point. Yeah. Like, One for All was created to destroy All for One. It served its purpose.
If you haven't read it, spoilers.
Yeah, it served its purpose. So it's like, I thought it was, like they said, a coherent ending. But I can understand where people come from, because they want, you have this illusion in your head and you create stuff like how you would like it to end. That's fair. But I mean, like he said, it is what it is. The author has no obligation to kind of like satisfy each and everyone's like expectations. But I thought it was good.
Yeah. And there were people saying that 431 is just Horikoshi trying to fix it. No. That was just him giving you extra. Yeah. Because some people are like, no, 430 is a real ending.
What about you, Patty? Did you like the ending?
I don't know it.
Nice.
No, I don't. Working my way through. I never do the manga. I always do it afterwards because, like, even with a book, it's like you read it, you kind of imprint on it, and then yeah.
Right.
So.
It sets expectations. I get it.
Yeah, it's why I never read Lord of the Rings, because I knew in my lifetime somebody was going to go all in. I thought it would be like a TV miniseries or something like that. And I just don't want to be like, the book was better than that. So, yeah.
Right.
I shot myself in the foot with the Ian Fleming James Bond novels. I read them as a kid, and then when I go back and rewatch the movies, I was like, yeah.
That's not correct.
That's the reason why I haven't watched Lord of the Rings as well. Yeah, so.
Invite me to a Harry Potter panel. We'll talk.
Oh, yes.
Don't get him started.
Don't get him
please.
started. We could be here another 5 hours just on Harry Potter.
What's going on? Any future projects, and what are your social medias that we can follow you on, and podcasts, and what goes on that we can follow you guys with?
Cool. Well, I myself, avid gamer, so I do a lot of live streaming on Twitch. There's the usual typical answers. I got a lot of projects. I can't talk about them, but yeah, we working, we grinding. But my social media is just my handle is the same. It's drums, D as in dog, R, the number 0, MZ. Everywhere. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. I mainly navigate more lately through Twitch because, again, I love gaming. And we also do live manga readings with in Ernesto's channel. Again, all the actors, we connect, and for like 30 to 45 minutes, we just read and act out the chapters. But what's the fun part about it is, like Juan Felipe was saying, is sometimes some of the actors can't make it, so we start covering each other and we get assigned other characters. That's where it really gets fun because, like, Orlando can't make it, Rams, you do All Might, so then I have to try to imitate how Orlando does it, or Rams can't make it, so now Orlando's screaming like Bakugou. So that dynamic is pretty fun when doing these live readings. So we do pretty much.
And just the myriad of technical problems that we always
always.
Like somebody camera
fun.
freezes, the microphone doesn't work.
It's super fun.
It's way too funny.
And we were reading the sports festival, and we had Hero 1 and Hero 2, so I put Orlando to read Hero 1 and Endeavor to hit Hero 2, just to like, yes, that's 1 and 2. Well, since I'm talking, my social media everything is Ernesto Rumbaut, just like my name. I do Twitch streams as well. I'm a gamer as well. Upcoming projects, audiobooks. I recently got into that, and some of them are getting published, and will get published very soon.
Yeah, for me, all the socials are either Juan Felipe Sierra Cortez. I'm launching a podcast. It's called the Different Lens Podcast, where myself and my co-host are talking about entertainment, video games, all that. We have our usual rants because we are also very much nerds, and we're like, but this is supposed to be this way, and but yeah, keep on the lookout. We should be launching it in the next couple weeks. I also have other projects that I unfortunately can't talk about. But yeah, hope to see all of you there.
Well, in my case, I work as a voice actor, doing the voice for a TV station, Univision, and stellar voice for all the super operas at night. And my Instagram is noguera.orlando if you want to contact me. And I do commercials too. That's what I'm doing. I'm working with my voice. That's it.
And let me just say, because you were a last-minute thing, so today about you. Thank you for being a Superman. Because without Superman is the most important fictional character of the 20th century. And especially for us. Without Superman, there's no Comic-Con, none of this is the way here. And there are always roles that come with things, but there are some fictional characters, Sherlock Holmes, Hamlet, Superman. It's a responsibility. So thank you for being a part of that.
Thank you so much. I do also, thank you, Clark Kent and Bizarro. I'm the 3 voices in that TV series. Bizarro. Superman, you are not the one. I am.
Oh, gentlemen, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Animate Miami 2025. This was the cast of Boku no Hero Academia, and that was our time. But before we go,
Thank you so much.
Before we go,
thank you, everybody.
You want to take a picture with this wonderful audience?
Yeah, let's do this.
We want everybody to come towards the stage, not on the stage, but towards the stage. We want to take a picture of all of you and all of them.